going on, everyone? So Los Angeles Lakers clearly have a deep, very talented, very sizable roster. Now, they could definitely use a center. There's a lot of speculation going around with Christian Wood, Bismack Biyombo. Do the Lakers maybe make a trade? There was some reports about the Lakers maybe being linked to Valanciunas. Like, that could be something. Of course, it's the Lakers, so there's going to be all kinds of speculation and trade rumors and D'Lo, right? The moment D'Lo signed a contract, it was like, well, he's getting traded. Waived his no-trade clause. They signed him for like a mid-tier contract that's usually very, tradable type of contract. Kind of lines up with a lot of various players. They don't need anybody major, right? They want Austin Reeves to play point guard more. So if that's the case, then D'Lo becomes expendable, right? Like there's going to continue to be. It's the Lakers. The media is going to drive anybody that's available. They're going to link it to the Lakers at the end of December, early January, something like that, I think is when D'Lo actually becomes available, or several guys become available to be traded. And that's probably when the trade rumors start to pick up. But also, once we get to that time, you're probably going to start seeing some of these teams that need to start breaking it up, right? Like Atlanta. There's all the, or not Atlanta, Toronto, right? There was talks about Atlanta trying to acquire Pascal Siakam. That ended up falling through, and everyone's just kind of like, all right, come on, like trade OG, trade Pascal. Ujiri's supposed to be this great GM, but he's been just like not even middle of the pack. Like the roster isn't working, the direction you're trying to go is not working. Pick a direction, pick somewhere you want to go, and just go. Right? Recoup, whether you want to build a contender, then fine. Push chips to the table, keep the guys that you want to build that contender, and then go get the pieces, or blow it up, start from scratch, go a new direction. Because you're just kind of like prolonging the inevitable to where you're just going to be in purgatory forever. Right? Chicago Bulls are another great example. Right? Chicago, they should have blown it up last trade deadline. They decided not to, and it doesn't really make any sense. Right? Like, you're not going to win anything. You're in this purgatory. At best, you're a play-in team again. And nobody would be shocked if they're not a play-in team. So it's like, what are we doing here? What is the answer? You're going to lose some of these guys for nothing. Start blowing it up. So the real question is, yes, the Lakers are deep. And they probably will look to trade D'Lo and maybe a couple of the other pieces. They have just strapped with forwards and size. At some point, do they try to like clear up that log jam, right? Like, let's say like there's not really much room for Taurean Prince, right? Because you got Rui, 80's playing the four more. Rui is just kind of take that next step. Vandal all of a sudden has a 3-point shot. You're really high on Cam Reddish, right? Max Christie, he's killing it. And the backup 2 role, and it's like you're having a hard time finding minutes for Taurean Prince. I'm not saying that that'll be the case. I'm not even saying that they should necessarily trade him. But, something like that happens, it's like, all right, well, we could take, D'Lo and Prince and go and get a piece or two and kind of add something that makes more sense. Maybe add another fit. Maybe add somebody to kind of help place LeBron, right? Well, the big question is, should the Lakers wait for Chicago Bulls? Because I really do fully believe at some point this season, Chicago's just going to say, all right, it's time to hit the panic button. Because Chicago's making zero sense. Right? Like, they are already shopping Zach LaVine, and they're they're not like necessarily going to trade him, but they're gauging the interest. He's on the trade block. They're looking to see what kind of packages and stuff. Like, that's been heavily reported, right? So chances are, if they find the right trade, they're going to trade him. But then they just gave Vu a brand new contract. And it's like, well, that didn't make a lot of sense. Demar DeRozan could just leave you next year for nothing. It's like Alex Caruso has some value, right? Like Chicago has several pieces that many teams would really want. And they also have several pieces that make a lot of sense for the Lakers, right? Like if you could replace D'Lo and let's say Prince for DeMar DeRozan, I think you do that, right? Because again, if the idea is to get Austin Reeves to kind of evolve into your point guard of the future, because you're high on Max Christie and you kind of want him to eventually step into that starting shooting guard role. I think DeMar makes a lot of sense because he helps win now, but he's also not super young to where he's going to be on the Lakers for the next like 6 years and it's basically going to stunt Max Christie. No, like DeMar DeRozan, you let's say you went and traded for him, he probably plays 3 years for you, something like that. Like, so he probably plays this year and then you probably do like a, 2-year extension or, maybe sign him on a 3-year deal, something like that. And then at that point, Max Christie would be 23, 24 and be ready to step in to that starting shooting guard role. Like, and now you have a guy that helps you win more now and can kind of be a guy that can help weather the storm when LeBron leaves. I think that that's a great idea, right? Or even if you don't go and do the DeMar DeRozan route, right? Like, do you go and try to acquire Vu, right? Because the Lakers need a big, sizable center. And he was actually one of the better defensive centers in the league last year. He was actually really good defensively last year. He's not really known for his defense, but he's a big that's really a big body that can block shots, that stretches the floor, that you can dump the ball down to. He's an underrated passer. He's really good. He's a guy you can run your offense through at times. He, notoriously kills the Lakers. So imagine having that guy, if he could play to the level that he usually plays when he's playing against us, actually play for us. It's a legit 20-10 guy. Maybe you could get a guy like Alex Caruso in the deal, right? And bring him in. And especially if you're moving off of D'Lo, you could have a starting front court if you want to do of Reeves and Caruso with Jared Vanderbilt, LeBron James and Anthony Davis. It's pretty good, right? Like you got your 2 point of attack guards that can guard multiple positions, that can switch, both high IQ, both very similar players in a lot of ways. I think Austin Reeves is a better version of Alex Caruso. That's just me personally. I think Alex Caruso is a better defender, but I think all around Reeves is the better player. But Alex Caruso, he has chemistry. He was on the Lakers when he won a championship. Like, I wouldn't hate that, right? Like, what if you could turn D'Lo and say Prince or something into like Vu and Caruso? I think you'd have to give up a little more than that. But, point is, like, if you could make it work to where, like, okay, well, now we got our center of the future alongside Anthony Davis. And we got Reeves and Alex Caruso. You could always have Alex Caruso be your backup shooting guard if you want, right? Like, it gives you flexibility. It gives you options, right? Like, there's several guys on the Bulls that would make a lot of sense for Lakers. Even if you're not getting, like, let's say you don't get Vu. I'd be okay with, like, Caruso and Drummond. Right? Like, and I know a lot of people aren't really sold on Drummond, like, oh, let's not rehash guys, but like, you could have said the same thing about like Dwight Howard, and we brought him back and he won us a championship. Also, the lack of success that Drummond had with us was just a completely different time. He was still a number one guy, one of the best centers in the league, 2010, and really thought, really just wanted to continue to be the guy. Came to the Lakers, he had the attitude. I mean, he even said it himself. There's literally a video of him talking about it. And how he let his ego and his, just idea of the player that he was precede what he needed to do to be a guy, right? And he's a guy that now has humbled himself. He's accepted a backup role. He's been one of the better, if not arguably the best backup centers in the league. And that's what you would need, right? A guy that can rebound, block shots, defend, like, he'd be great in a backup role, right? So, like, Chicago has several pieces. And so it kind of like, I don't know, I think that there's a real argument that the Lakers just kind of stay patient. I mean, obviously they can't make any trades or do anything right now, but I could see Chicago kind of being the Lakers pool, right? Where it's like, all right, well, how do you feel about giving up DeMar, right? Like, it would basically be, because the Lakers don't have a bunch of, like, really, I mean, they do, like, in Rui and stuff, but are they going to trade Rui? Like, probably not. Most likely, if they were going to trade anybody, it's probably Taurean Prince and D'Angelo Russell, right? Because those are, like, that's your, like, mid-level guy, so get you, like, $5 million plus D'Lo, get you about $23 million, with the, what is it? It's like 110% now. With that rule, like that should get you to a DeMar DeRozan and his salary because he's only making like 27 million this year, something like that. So you could go and trade for him, or you could go and get like I said, you get like an Andre Drummond, Alex Caruso, maybe some other pieces. Like again, Chicago's got several pieces that could make some sense for the Lakers. Obviously, it comes down to the asking price and whatnot, right? Like, are you really trading a first round pick for Caruso and Drummond? Probably not. So if they're like really stuck on like, hey, you have to give us a first, because I think that they were willing to trade Caruso last trade deadline, but they wanted like 2 firsts for him. Like, you're not getting 2 firsts for Alex Caruso. You're just not. But regardless, I do. I think if you could work it out to where you could get a couple pieces from the Chicago Bulls to add to this Lakers roster and kind of like, get guys that maybe are a better fit or kind of like a bigger need, right? Again, like, you have, especially at the forward spots, you have a real logjam. The one position that you could argue you need more than anything, outside of the center spot, obviously, is the shooting guard, right? And DeMar DeRozan would fit that perfectly, right? Like a guy that you could just go and get you a bucket. And look, I know he's played power forward, but he's very capable of playing shooting guard. He's played shooting guard plenty of times, right? He just kind of has to play other positions because Chicago, it just makes the most sense, right? So, but he could be you could have Austin Reeves, DeMar DeRozan, Jared Vanderbilt, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis as your starting 5. Like, that's very good. And DeMar DeRozan's been one of the best closers in the league the last few years, which is kind of what the Lakers need. Yeah, he doesn't really provide much three-point shooting, but the Lakers are probably not going to be this like super elite three-point shooting team anyway. I think that they'll be better than they were last year, but how much better will they be? I don't know. We'll see, right? But I think Chicago is definitely something that the Lakers should kind of keep an eye on and monitor, right? Even if it's not DeMar DeRozan, again, like I said, Alex Caruso, Andre Drummond, maybe Nikola Vucevic, right? Like those guys would all be just really great, solid pieces for the Lakers. And I think any of those guys could help really kind of impact and help the Lakers on their goal and their quest to win an NBA championship. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you think keep an eye on Chicago, wait for something to develop, maybe try to make a push for a DeMar or something? Or do you think, no, look elsewhere? I would feel whatever your thoughts are. Again, love to hear it. Let me know.